Yeah, I was going to tell a story about the summer Betty and I was a date. Glen had been running my tractor at M International, and they had a pressurized cooling system on the engine. And he had been doing, I don't know where I was, what I was doing, but the tractor got hot. He jumped up on the front and pulled the radiator cap. The steam just gushed out and hit him in the left shoulder, right in there. And he was laid up. Boy, that scalded quite a place there. The scald is a bad burn. So in a day or two, it was Saturday, I think, and I come in from the field all dirty. He was laying up there at the house, and Tom Stockton, our cousin, just a year younger than Glen. But Tom was always kind of runny. But I said, Glen, I need that $5 I loaned you. You got it? Yeah, I got it. And if you're man enough, you can have it. And he just stood up. So I went and got my $5. Oh, we had a terrible knockdown drag out. I had, of course, him with that hurt shoulder. He couldn't do near what he thought he could. And I was on top of him. I was just beating the daylights out of him. Tom stopped and jumped on my back. Like he was kind of runny anyway. I don't know how I done it, but I was upset and I reached back, got a hold of Tom and jerked him over my shoulder. While he was in there coming down, I come up with a fist. I hit him so. I believe that's the hardest I ever hit anybody. Him a coming down and me a coming up. He just crawled over the corner. And he had all that he wanted. And Glen finally agreed to let me have my $5. So I let him up. He gave me the $5. I got me some clean clothes, went to the pond, cleaned up, and come back to the house and went on a date. Dad come in, the folks had gone someplace. They come in later that evening. Of course, I was gone. Glen told him a whole bunch of lies, how I jumped onto him all crippled up. Dad took him to the doctor. Oh, Glen was beat up. I had no mercy. And so when I come in from the date, while Dad was sitting up in the kitchen waiting on me, Glen was in the bed right there. Bedroom, the door right there off the kitchen. Dad said, I want to hear about this and how you mistreated Glen. Oh, Dad was upset. I said, well, can I tell my side of the story? He said to, well, I guess that's nothing but right. And I told him. He turned to Glen and he said, which one of you's telling the truth? Glen wouldn't answer him. He said, then Orla's telling the truth and you lied to me. Glen finally admitted, yeah, he had. He lied to Dad. So I was back in good graces. But that was just Glen. And then when he come home from the Army, well, it was dry. I mean, the folks Ray Sanders had a big tank, I guess close to 1,000 gallons. And he'd bring up 1,000 gallons of water, that whatever it held. Dump at Dad's well out there by the road for $3 or $4. Glen decided he's gonna put a tank on my pickup and I could haul the water. I said, no, Glen, I'm not gonna do that. I need my pickup. It's only transportation Betty and I have. I can't have it tied up that way. And that's when he said, I'm not asking you what we're going to do. I'm telling you. And I said, no, and we're not doing that. He doubled up his fist, and I said, well, all right, if that's what you want, just remember the last time. Well, he relaxed. But that was Glen. And then he decided that we was going to put in a dairy down where Betty and I was living. Dad had that 116 third of a quarter to the east of it. I was 52 or 3 acres. So we had a little over 200 acres there. And I said, well, Glen, first, there's not enough water there for a dairy. Second is, I don't want a dairy. Well, with my management and your labor, we can make it go. I said, I don't like the sound of that at all. No, I am not going into a dairy. If you want to do it, we'll just price every what little equipment I got, things. I'll go to town and get a job and you can take it over. Well, no, I don't want, I want to be the management, you the labor. Well, that's not going to happen. So about then, Jim Ratliff found he worked for Tinker Field, and he was in government, something or other, GS rating. And he found some job opportunities in that. He knew Glen had a master's degree in agronomy. So he caught a bus in Oklahoma City and rode to Sears to bring that to Glen. So Glen got on the government, the Cotton Classic, and they shipped him to Haytime, Missouri first as a cotton gin inspector. He'd never been inside of a cotton gin in his life. But he worked right up, and he retired from real high GS rating. But he eventually went from Haytime, Missouri, up into Boot Heel, Missouri. They grow quite a bit of cotton there. Then they transferred him to Memphis, and he met a girl there, and she was from Darville, Kentucky. And they eventually got married, and that's where Marla met Tony. That was her nephew. And they had 2 daughters about Marla's age. And they introduced her by telephone to Tony. So that's how that come about. So let's shut it down a while. By